Hey everybody, Rob Norton once again, and I got my brother here with me.
What the fuck are we looking at?
What are we looking at? This is just god awful. So we've spent some time doing some book reviews today, and we've been having a lot of fun doing that. I've had this set aside. This is a pile of my own artwork. I've done one video previously where I focused on a couple of pages from my comic series. This is just a bunch of random drawings that I've done just for fun. And I asked him, like, well, what if we did a video where we both talk about, we're going to look at my artwork, but, and he's on board with that. I mean, he draws, so he understands artwork, and I'm interested to get anyone's perspective and just kind of show some of the stuff that I do. Like I was saying in that video where I showed my own comic art, I wanted to mention that I might be talking about all these comics and giving kind of my opinion on the artwork and the story, but I do it, whether it's any good or not, that's entirely up to a person's opinion, but I'm speaking about something that I have some familiarity with.
And you've been drawing for how many years?
I mean, I'm trying to remember when I first started doodling. It was honestly around the time of, I want to say I took drawing seriously around the first time of the first Ninja Turtle movie.
Yeah.
Because that's when I sat down and tried to reproduce a drawing from the soundtrack. And I suddenly was like, can I draw? I think I could draw.
I remember that specifically. And I remember I was in fourth grade because I started copying you because you started, as an older brother, like, he's drawing, I want to draw too. That's cool. I want to be cool like him. So, let's see. I graduated in 2000, 23 years ago. 12th grade to 4th grade is another 8 years. So that's like, what, 31 years ago.
I was going to say I was an early teenager. I think I got started drawing seriously later in life. Most people who I know that can draw and are artists, they were always doing some kind of creative stuff from the time they were small enough to hold a pencil or a crayon. That wasn't me.
Yeah.
I just kind of started reading comics, and then I just kind of like reproduced a drawing that I saw elsewhere, and I'm like, I actually did really good. I'm serious when I was like, can I draw? I think I can draw.
Yeah. I mean, I remember I started doing it was like fucking horse shit, it was like twisting and it looked like an arm twisted for muscles. But I remember like I had colored in like a coloring page for Scooby-Doo, and I remember someone commenting like, oh, that looks really, like you stayed in the lines, you did such a good job. And that was even younger, like that had nothing to do that. But again, I never had drawn, and it took me a long time before I got any kind of really being good at it.
Yeah, it's a learning process. We're always learning. So, it's always hard to kind of be objective about your own stuff. You think sometimes you nail something and sometimes it fails. I've had people look at stuff that I think I did amazing on, and they get kind of like, it's okay. And then I've had people look at shit that I've done that I think is absolute garbage, and they're like, holy crap, that's great. What is the irony here?
Yeah.
But just starting right here with this. This is, for anybody who's really into comic art, this is a redraw, in a way, of a Jack Kirby drawing of the Incredible Hulk. Not that I'm better than Jack Kirby. I'm not that stupid, but I really like the pose, the angle, and the power, and the hands. So I just took that basic pose and just kind of reproduced it, and not trying to reproduce his line work, but just the basic pose and the vibe. This was fun. I just drew it for fun. It's not for anything except I just wanted to draw, and everything's practice. Inking techniques and rendering and bust out the tools and see what you can do.
Yeah.
So
it looks cool. Like I would have probably just blackened in those shadows right there.
I was wondering about both ways. I really wasn't sure, and so I went with leaving it open. I think it probably would be better if I did exactly like you said, but I wasn't sure. Everything's kind of an experiment.
Yeah, but it's, like I said, practice.
Pencil drawing. This was a picture somebody had put online of their face in like a hoodie. So I just kind of drew it kind of like I don't know, tattooed face, braids. This could be like a hooded warrior assassin. I don't know. It could be anything. Just drawing. It's a
thing.
It's a thing. It is a thing. That was fun. There's a gal I work with, Erin. You might watch this if you see it. This was kind of vaguely based off her in a way. I even showed her the original artwork. She always wears her hair in like side kind of ponytails, not pigtails, but they're not off the side of her head. They're kind of off to the side and down the back. And she's an athletic girl. I think she told me she did javelin, something to that effect. Anyway, it was just kind of vaguely based on just a drawing of girl holding like a weapon, the hair, the tennis shoes that kind of show an athletic girl. It's kind of a random thing for fun. It was a fun one to do.
The weapon she killed her first man with.
Probably. Pencil drawing. This was done of someone that I know online. Just a kind of a picture they had of themselves. And so I drew it in pencil. I was having a lot of fun. And I was actually going to ink it on this page, on this paper. But another friend of mine, Bobby, she says, no. It's perfect. Don't just leave it alone. Just leave it. But I was like, I want to ink it. She's like, well, then light box it and ink another one, which is exactly what I did. And ended up giving the inked version to the friend of mine who I referenced this from. So, a lot of fun with that. The hair, the flowing lines, the eye, just a lot of fun. She always takes good pictures, and I wanted to use that one.
That was someone you knew, or
this is someone that I know.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Another random kind of warrior babe. Sword. I was trying to do this thing with the swords coming towards you, kind of doing a perspective thing. It's hard, especially swords.
Oh yeah.
It's tricky.
Yeah, I was gonna say something, but I didn't.
Your brain stopped. More just sketching. I don't. This is okay, but this pencil drawing here. This is actually that same person on the other pencil drawing. I just really liked. I did a really quick sketchy lines, just going fast, and the rough kind of frantic nature of it just kind of work. I liked the way it worked. There's kind of a vibe in there that I think if I were to try and ink it, I would actually ruin it. Whatever kind of is there that I like and works, adding ink lines to it would ruin it. So I just left it.
Yeah, I could see that, like, if you could redo that, like you said, and it could be a good cover or something.
Yeah, I would light box it. This right here, just some figure drawing. You know, this booty shapes. I mean, I like to draw female figures. I like to draw everything, but of course, drawing girls' figures. Just trying to get some gesture lines and smooth flowing lines. That was fun. Just a little quick sketch. This one was fun because I did this as part of like there's a gal on Instagram that did a contest. Draw for you to draw this in your style. She did this drawing of this character, and we were all supposed to draw our own version of it. A lot of people joined in. I think mine was unique in that mine was the only black and white line work one. So I knew that was going to be hard to stand out when they have all these great colored versions.
Digital artists, man.
Digital artists, I'm telling you.
Fuck them.
But, right?
Just kidding.
I kind of like the way the face came out. There was kind of a look that I was able to kind of get that I kind of liked. I'm kind of proud of it. I like the way it looked. This is one I've had sitting around for like the last year or two, and I keep meaning to finish it. If that looks vaguely familiar to you at all,
oh yeah, I know.
It's a screen capture. Well, it's me redrawing an image from a screen capture of the original Ninja Turtles cartoon. That was the Leonardo shot of him gesturing, pointing with the sword. And I was going to draw in the other turtles in the same pose in the background, but I don't know. I just kind of had fun with this one, and I just have left it and haven't finished it. And honestly, I never will. We'll call that abandoned project.
I don't know if you finish it. That could be a cool piece to sell at a convention.
It could, but then I'd have to finish it, which I need to do.
Oh my God, what happened to her?
I know. This is an older drawing. I remember from a long time ago, there was this drawing of some goth girl. So she took a picture of herself with drenched in blood. I can't remember if she was undressed. I think she was. I drew that. And then this is actually a picture of my friend Bobby. This is a picture of at a friend's wedding. It's just a good shot of her face. And so I just wanted to reproduce the eyes, nose, mouth, the hair. Just kind of combined them into one. And I kind of dig it. And Bobby, she's a looker. So it's always fun to do that.
Do you ever talk to Bobby in a Hank Hill voice?
No, I do not.
Damn it, Bobby.
Damn it, Bobby. She'd probably punch me. Character named Whisper for a friend of mine, Isaac Bell. He's got a comic series that he's doing. This is a villain that's in the book. And I drew this. I actually sent a picture of it to him, and he really dug it. He was very complimentary to it. I'm actually going to be talking about his Metal Shade comic book here soon. Great guy, great artist. I don't want to go into it too much because if I get started, I won't stop about everything that he does. But that's just a picture of one of his characters.
Oh my God!
Lord, cover them titties.
What's wrong with your face?
Exactly. This was this skull face. This is just a girl in shadow. But at a glance, I looked at it in the shadow. I kind of saw a skull shape. So I just made it a skull shape onto this girl in this like big hat and a shirt and kind of got a smoke and the bosom's hanging out. But I wanted to add that skull face and I kind of like it. It's kind of a random like sex and death combined. What sells? There you go. These are some that I need to do more of. This is done with Copic markers. This is a cool gray. Again, a reference I found online. This is old. I did this in 2015, so this has been quite a while. But there's very few pieces of artwork that I do where I do it and I still like it years later. Mm-hmm. But I kind of think this works. I just like it. And I need to do more. There's a couple here. That one I really like. This is another one that, again, I think it came out well. I got the cool gray markers on the outside and then the warm gray on the figure. Just some pencil sketchy lines in it. 2015, I was doing these at the same time. I like the way this came out. I really like her face. Kind of the soft expression on it.
Yeah. Let me just look at the other one. Like the shading is just really cool. You don't have any of the hard lines or anything like that, but
yeah,
I love the black that going
kind of just blends into it. Yeah, these ones were fun. I really like that one. This is another one. Just getting this one was great because there was a lot of hard lighting and shadows, so the shadow to define the figure. 2015, same time, I was really on a kick. I did a bunch of these. I kind of lost a bunch of them, but it's another one that I did that I thought came out pretty well. I like that one. Here's a random thing. There's a guy, I don't talk to him anymore online, but he was doing this really wild, crazy comic series. And this is like a monster he drew in his book. Like a demon guy, horns. He's got a snake, cobra snake for a tail. You can't really tell it's connected to him. But got this staff that he's holding. I just want to do this wild monster thing with the cobra tail. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, it's cool looking.
Crazy monster creature.
Yeah.
It's fun little just exercise. This is in the original Cyberforce miniseries. I think issue 1. There's a character named Cyblade, and this is basically that character in that outfit, minus the parts that look like her skin are normally covered by metal, like a full metal sheathing armor. But there's a picture that the artist drew of this character, and it was a little teeny tiny little background, like this tall. Mm-hmm. But that little tiny gestural drawing I thought looked great, so I drew it big. And
I mean, I thought it looked familiar. Like, I don't...
Yeah. I mean, it's not exactly copying his entire line work and the hair, because he didn't have this much detail on his little tiny drawing, but the basic pose and the costume, the outfit, is definitely that character. So I had a couple people tell me they really liked it, the pose, the stance. I'm like, oh, thanks. The professional artist, Mark Sylvester, he did that. That's why it looks good. That's always funny. I always kind of forget. I drew this on the back of a rough drawing sketch of something else I was doing from something else that didn't work out.
What the fuck is that?
For John Helmer, some of his characters, I was doing a cover thing, and this was like a first layout. But
I like those. Whatever. Just
right?
Ruin another picture.
Another picture is ruined. This one is interesting. This is based kind of on a dream that I had. I've got a friend of mine. If you watch my video of the other one that I did, the artwork where I talked about my friend that art modeled for me, I had a dream where she was running around with a bow and arrow in the mountains, and she was surrounded by giant robots and was going to have to fight them. And I woke up and I'm like, what the hell was that? That was a weird dream. So I kind of drew a version of it. And, you know, as you try to remember a dream, the harder you try to remember, the more it kind of fades. I can't remember what the robots were, so I just kind of made up my own technological creatures. But it's kind of buff warrior woman with bows and arrows to fight giant monster robots in the mountains. That's what we're looking at here.
See, if you were Rob Liefeld, you would make a whole series about this and get one issue into it.
One issue, and then you'd abandon it and then talk about how it's a great idea.
But I mean, I do like all these designs. They're really cool. Like, you've always been good at design. I've really struggled and failed on stuff like that. That's why most of my stuff is set in a semi-real world where I'm wearing just regular clothes most of the time.
It's hard to just start throwing gear and technological. I tried to make each one of them very distinctive. Like this guy, he's got 3 sets of everything. He's got like these 3 head like components, and then each side has 3 tendrils, and each end has 3 hooks. He's got a giant ball on the base with 3 legs that he's standing on. It was just like a theme that I was doing. And it's kind of a War of the Worlds vibe going on there.
I mean, I like that one with its whatever kind of head.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Pacific Rim kind of thing I was doing. I don't know. It was fun.
Yeah.
This would be a fun one to get colored. I keep thinking of.
I mean, that's a cover. That's a poster. That's something that would. I mean, I make a joke that you would do something and not do it, but that's a.
There's something there. I should
Yeah.
do something with it. I should do something with a lot of things. This is potentially a cover for my next book, or at least a pinup inside it for sure. This is a redo, like a redraw of Mark Silvestri's, I think, cover. I think the collected book of Cyberforce had his characters in this pose, and I stole all of this. Was Cyblade, Ripclaw, Striker. Anyone who kind of knows the image I'm talking about. But these are the Masters of the Universe characters that I've kind of adopted in some ways because they didn't have much history, especially these guys here. And I've kind of added my own spin to the characters, and that's what's going on in my book with She-Ra here. I kind of like this, her hand holding the sword in this powerful pose. This is fun. I might get this colored and have this be a cover to the book, but I threw it in the pile and wanted to show it. I had a lot of fun doing this one.
Yeah, that's cool.
Getting these metal textures on his glove, the gun. I don't know. It was just fun. So that's a fun one. This one,
The fuck are we? Oh yeah.
right?
It's like, what are we looking?
Let me
at?
turn this on its side. This is something that I did. Cobra Kai. I did this specifically for the comic book convention because the newest season of Cobra Kai had come out. I figured people would be talking about it, and they had a lot of the actors there. And so I wanted to do something to tie into it. So I was originally, my thought was to just do this bonsai tree that was based on the design that is on the patch that Daniel wears in the original movie. But then I looked up some real trees and really went for it with the textures and designs on the wood. I'm like, I'm going to put every little bit of hyper tiny detail that I can fit. And then I'm like, well, I should put a cobra for the obvious Cobra Kai. And then if you're watching the show, there's eagle fangs. So I threw in an eagle and had fun doing these dry brush textures on this. And
With no fang.
right, but I actually thought about it, but I chose to not to. But I kind of like it. I think it's a stretch in doing something different, especially it's very different from all the other stuff we've seen. Didn't sell one.
I was gonna say, did you sell any?
Not one.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Like when you get something you really want to sell, you think it's gonna do well because of whatever reason, and
Right.
people buy the bullshit next to you.
They buy Deadpool and Harley Quinn and Baby Yoda stuff, and no one wants the bonsai tree with the snake and the bird. But I had a lot of fun doing it. I got a lot of positive feedback on it online, and I do not think it was wasted time. I'm glad I did it, and it's one of my favorite drawings.
Well, and these things with conventions, like I've had things where I've drawn and hadn't sold any, and then like I sell them like crazy several conventions later. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I almost just didn't even bring that because
You've mentioned how sometimes you have things that don't sell, and then suddenly one day they just go.
yeah,
So that's fine. We'll see how it goes.
the more product you have, the more you're bound to sell.
Right. So we're down to the last two. This is kind of an interesting thing. Unfortunately, I didn't put a date on this one, but these are my own characters in a drawing I did a long time ago. These are the villain monster creatures of my own kind of story that I was going to potentially do at the time. That's the original version, and then I've redone it, hoping I could kind of do better. I think I did for the most part. The main thing is that I was trying to show, if you see in this one, got this little figure down here. He's a regular human-sized male. He's like the main villain of the story. So I wanted to show all these other guys to illustrate how big they are. These are giant monster creatures. With the exception of this guy, he's a normal human-sized guy, but that's why he's flying towards us. But the sense of scale might get kind of lost. I actually still kind of like this. I like this erupting ground, earth under it.
Yeah, that's cool looking.
That was a lot of fun. I kind of like these weird monster... These are like ancient stone gods made of technology and tendrils, and I don't know. I liked a lot of it, but I kind of felt like I want to do something different. I don't know if the camera shows. This one's kind of like, it's old. The paper's kind of faded yellow, and this one's like a brighter white. I kind of kept the same basic concept, but I made the main villain, instead of putting him just as a little teeny guy.
Just a little fella.
Just a little fella down there. I made him more normal-sized and prominent. But then I also try to do a low angle looking up, kind of, to give a sense of scale. And if this is a normal human guy and this character, this creature's behind him, but still big, hopefully it reads as a big thing. And then the flying guy over here, I put him just hovering in the air. And this is where I maybe failed a little bit on this one, is this creature, he's like a weird centaur demon creature with like bird claw hands up front, horse back end, 3 tails, a human skull face with ram horns, just a mishmash of horrifying things. And it kind of gets lost.
Yeah.
Because you've got the rest of his centaur body and tails here, but it doesn't quite read as clear. I think I kind of failed, and I like this version, but I don't know that I like it any more than that version. I think they both work. I was trying to add more power and intensity to it. I kind of like the design because this creature is this giant glowing crystal sphere ball. That's a big, big thing. It's as big as your house, but it pulls the earth and the rocks up from the ground and forms this giant rock monster body. And it's got these 3 kind of like stones surrounding this crystal sphere. And I imagine them that they kind of like slowly hover in a circle around it.
Yeah.
So just a bunch of big monster creatures of my own design and villains, and I'm talking, this could be 20 years ago. Honestly, maybe if not 20 years, within 15. That's a long time ago. And
I mean, because I seem to remember you being you had a story that was very heavily inspired by He-Man.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if it was around the same time, like you've explained before, that you got those DVDs that I gave you. And you started thinking about stuff similar to He-Man until you're like, fuck it, I'm just going to do He-Man stuff.
So, actually, the way that turned out is, in a way, I can actually credit you for my entire current, to this day, comic story. Because I'm drawing a He-Man fan comic. For my birthday, you gave me the He-Man DVDs.
Yeah.
I watched them, and I started coming up with my own stories. And I'm like, well, I was coming up with stuff that I thought was interesting. I can't do anything with them, so I started creating my own characters. This was Skeletor, is this guy. These other guys were nobodies. They were just different monsters I come up with. But I started coming up with my own sci-fi, fantasy, He-Man type world characters. And that's what all these were. And I started creating my own ideas. But I also kept coming back to the original ideas I had for that He-Man comic. I'm like, I still like those ideas. So I decided eventually I'm going to draw that He-Man story. I want to do it.
Yeah.
So in a way, you giving me those DVDs for my birthday fueled the creation of my own things here and the current books that I'm working on to this day. So it's all you.
That's nuts.
It is. Right. It is, because I'm having a lot of fun. But this was just a fun little, let me just do something different. Let me try and redraw and see if I can, have my skills gotten any better? Because I kind of like this, but can I redo it and make it better and weed out the little problems? And I think I succeeded in some places and failed a little bit in others, but it's still fun. I still like these creature designs, and I still want to use them somewheres.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like the angle looking up, with this thing, and
yeah,
you do get some of the sense of scale. It is kind of hard to tell with the scale. You kind of get it here, but then it's like, how big is this guy? I'm like, you have to.
It doesn't read quite as easily.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, like you're saying, like that's cool. That's cool. Like you said, I don't know which I like better.
Yeah.
I agree that one this is very clear, like
It's much
what's
clearer.
going on
Yep.
with him. But I do like that angle.
Yeah, I kind of like that angle, and I kind of like this drawing of this guy. I think that kind of came out all right.
Yeah.
So that's what that is. That's all of them. That's all my artwork that I've got here. Just a fun thing to kind of go through. Got to show my own artwork. Got to show that I'm a working amateur cartoonist, and I take it seriously, and I try to do good work. And I guess we'll see how that translates when people read my stuff.
Yeah.
So again,
read the stuff.
Read the stuff.
Jesus.
Good Lord, what does it take? A gun? Anyway, that's all I got. I appreciate you looking. If you have, I know it's a big deal because you're looking at my own artwork rather than, it's easy to look at a video as you're scrolling through YouTube and see, oh, look, Batman Spawn, I'm curious about that. Oh, look, Liefeld, he sucks. I want to hear what they have to say about it. But when you see just some random guy showing his own work, do you care? So if you've watched this, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for giving it a look. And that's all I got for now.
Comment, like, and subscribe.
All that stuff. Jesus. Do all that thing. And I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks. Bye.